The way that I kind of rate them, the ones that are 5 out of 5 stars, because I think about them often. Hey, what's up? Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jennifer O'Malley. I have been an avid reader since I learned how to read. Magic Tree House. I have like 37 of them. Is there even 37? I think so. In college, I just stopped reading for fun. But now that I've graduated college, I started devouring books. I went from reading 10 books a year to 22 books in the past 3 months. It's a little bit crazy. I am on BookTok. Follow my BookTok here. I'm gonna review the 20 books that I have read from January to March. A lot of them are popular books right now. So if you wanna know if that book is worth your time and your money, I will let you know in this video. I watched Steph Board do a video just like this one, and she goes in chronological order. So we're gonna go in chronological order and just start off with what I read in January. Okay, it's a nostalgic one for me. Don't make fun of me. Vampire Kisses number 5, The Coffin Club. If you are a millennial, you probably have heard of Vampire Kisses. It is a cliche romance between a goth girl and a vampire. They're very cheesy, very short books. I read the first 4 in high school, just never went around to buying the 5th one. Recently I found this for $1, so I was like, what the heck? I still remember the storyline. I'm gonna kind of finish this. Super cute. Are these the best books? No. Nostalgic. I just so happened to go to Goodwill again recently. Literally the next books. I'm gonna continue the series, just heal my inner child. A lot of these are BookTok books that got me back into reading. So the next book I read, The Heart Principle by Helen Huang. This is one book in a trilogy, but it's not really a trilogy. Like, they don't go in order. You can read each alone. They're standalones. This one follows Anna. Her current boyfriend decides that he wants to see other people, and she doesn't really like that, but she goes along with it anyway. She meets Quan, who's the love interest in this book, and Quan is 1010, one of my favorite book boyfriends. But everyone markets this book as a romance, and yes, like, romance is a plot in this book. This book is this is really emotional. It's a very intense book. It's about her dealing with a diagnosis that she gets through therapy, and also her becoming like a caregiver for a parent. And it's pretty heavy, so if you're not ready for that, don't read this book. I cried a lot while reading this book. It was very emotional, but the love is so sweet and wholesome in this book. 5 out of 5. I will be reading her other books. I've heard amazing things about The Kiss Quotient. Next thing I read was Verity. This is my second Colleen Hoover book that I ever read. Because Colleen Hoover is so popular, I took a leap of faith and bought the 3 most popular books from her website when she had a sale, and she signed them all. So I have a signed copy of Verity. 5 out of 5 freaking stars. This book follows Lowen, who's an author, and she's a little tight on money, and when she gets offered a position to ghostwrite another author, Verity's series, she takes it. Verity has been in an accident where she can't write the rest of her series, but she's on contract and she needs to finish it. So Lowen is now being paid to finish that series. On the journey to discover what Verity had planned for the rest of the series, Lowen discovers a autobiography of sorts written by Verity and about Verity's life, and she uncovers a lot of messed up stuff, and she ends up getting entangled with this family. It's crazy. Read it. It is so good. I know what you're thinking. You're rating everything 5 out of 5. The next book I read was Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. Unfortunately, I rated this book 2 stars. It was not for me. This is an age gap romance about Jordan and her boyfriend's dad, which is not even the issue that I had with the book. With the storyline, it made sense how that happened. My only issue, and why it was a 2 star for me, was because Jordan was so unrelatable for me personally. I felt like she was very unrealistic. I felt like watching one of those really, really cheesy Lifetime movies, which I can see why people enjoy thoroughly. Pike, who's the love interest, which is the boyfriend's dad, a great character. I think he was written very well. Small town boy, small town dreams. Maybe I just don't like small town romances. It did turn me off from reading any other Penelope Douglas, but maybe you guys can convince me. I don't know. The next 3 things that I read were manga. I found out that the rest of the series is actually on Kindle Unlimited now. So I reread, oh, I'm holding this upside down. I reread Rave Master physical copy, and now I'm continuing the rest of the series on Kindle Unlimited. It's like an early Y2K manga, so I don't know if anyone's interested in it, but it follows our main character Haru, who discovers that he is the new Rave Master. He has to protect the world from ending all over again by finding all the rave stones. I get to finally know what happens, so I'm excited about that. Reading manga on the Kindle is a life-changing experience. I did not know that that was a thing. Changed the game for me. Threw me into a high fantasy obsession. The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I can't say enough good things about this book. 4.5 stars for me. This follows Jude, who is a human trying to navigate being a human living in fairy. Fae or fairy people are cruel. They're tricksters. They abuse humans, basically. This book starts off, she's growing up in this fairy world, worlds, and she's going to school there and just being bullied, but she wants to prove that she does belong, or she can belong. I actually read this on my Kindle and then got obsessed with the first book, so I bought the rest of the series in paperback. Finished the second book, and the second book is a 5 out of 5 stars for me. This is an April read, actually. I just finished it, so, but I'm moving on to the third in April as well. Love this series. I love Holly Black as an author. No, I got foundation on the white cover. I can't say enough good things about this. Read The Cruel Prince. A lot of people are like, it's slow, it's boring, it's not a romance, there's no romance. It's not a romance. It's a politically driven YA fantasy. The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is a Reylo fanfiction. Okay, no, but seriously, this follows Olive, PhD candidate for, honestly, I don't know, something sciencey. She ends up fake dating her professor, not even her professor, a professor who works in the same area where she's studying. He's the harshest one. He's a douchebag. He's mean. Everyone hates him. But she ends up fake dating him to convince her friends that she's like moved on, that she's like seeing someone. She's just trying to convince her friend that she's like doing good. Fake dating, like, you know what happens with fake dating, the tension. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. The way that I kind of rate them, the ones that are 5 out of 5 stars, because I think about them often. Like the Heart Principle literally hurt my soul. I connected with it so deeply, so I think about it often. This one was cute and it was very fun to read. I loved it the entire time that I was reading it. I never got bored. I would read this again if I was feeling like I needed a cute rom-com. Also, the main character, Adam, Professor Adam Carlson, is based off of Adam Driver. So if you're an Adam Driver fan, and just as everyone suspected who saw this in the background, I continued A Court of Thorns and Roses, finally. This is the first book, A Court of Thorns and Roses. This follows Feyre. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Feyre gets taken into Prythian as like repayment for accidentally killing a fairy in the woods because she was hungry and trying to feed her family. She gets taken as like hostage, kind of like Beauty and the Beast, and she has to live in this castle with this man that she does not know because she owes him a debt. An eye for an eye. That's all I can tell you without ruining the entire series. And it only continues to get crazier. I read ACOTAR in 2019. Didn't think it was that great of a book. It was a 3 stars for me. I know, shocker. Then I read A Court of Mist and Fury in 2020. I don't even think I gave that one 5 stars either. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Decided to continue A Court of Wings and Ruin. My favorite ACOTAR book in Feyre's perspective. This took my heart through the gutter and then put it back together. And a lot of shit happens, okay? So much stuff happens. This series is so good. I do wish Sarah J Maas took some bolder choices in this book. Sarah J Maas is known for her happy endings, I think. I like to think that she's known for her happy endings. I would say 4.75 out of 5 stars. Then instead of continuing ACOTAR, I read another book by Sarah J Maas, Crescent City, and this is an urban fantasy. This is my 10-star book so far. I'm obsessed with this book. It became my entire personality. Crescent City is my favorite book ever written by Sarah J Maas. I have not read Throne of Glass yet, but I still think Crescent City is my favorite book. It hurt me so deeply. I can't even tell you what it's about without ruining it. Look it up. Because Crescent City hurt me so much and took over my entire personality, I chose to pick up a Colleen Hoover book. So the book that I listened to on audio was actually Reminders of Him, which is her latest book. It's about Kenna, who has just come back to her, not hometown, but she just came back to the town that she left 5 years ago. She has some unfinished business she needs to take care of. She ends up getting entangled with this guy who owns a bar. Kenna's trying to get custody of her child again, and I can't say too much without giving away a lot of things, but like I said, I had just read Crescent City, which destroyed me, so I didn't feel much towards this book, and I felt like I'm very disappointed. It is a good book. I do think about it a lot. I do recommend it to people, so I would give it a 4 out of 5 stars. It's a little predictable, but that's the point. It's not supposed to be like, oh my god, crazy. It's about grief, about moving forward with grief. Life goes on and on and on. I believe in second chances, and it's a second chance romance, I think, but in a different way, with like a twist. I don't know how to explain it. Obviously, the next book I had to read was this ginormous book, Crescent City 2, House of Sky and Breath. 4 out of 5 stars. Whirlwind. Literally can't say anything about it without ruining it. And I'm gonna keep saying that for the Sarah J Maas books because I have a problem where I tend to overtalk, so I'm just giving my rating. I started the Zodiac Academy. This is so popular on Book Talk. The writing is horrendous. I feel like an asshole saying that, but I almost threw this book because the writing was so bad. It's a bully romance. This book follows Tori and Darcy, who are twins, and they find out that they are actually long lost heirs to a fairy world, and they have to start school at Zodiac Academy kind of like Hogwarts, where they have to learn how to use their powers and stuff, and they start as freshmen. Rather than being like in middle school or something, they are like 19 years old. So it's like college. Magical college, okay? And there is no limit to what can be done in this magical college. Like, teachers hit students in this magical college, and students battle each other, and nobody stops them. Like, it's a little brutal. The bullying in this book is very intense. If you cannot stand bullying, like, you will not like this book. You will not like the boys in this book. They are horribly cruel. But the ending made me continue. So I'm currently on book 3. How did we get here? But now I'm hooked. Now I need to know. It is a guilty pleasure. I do enjoy bully romances, I will admit. Now, I guarantee this is not for everyone, but it is very addictive. The characters are addicting, the storyline is great. The Twisted Sisters, the authors, I heard the writing gets better like book 5, 6, 7 now that they're like way deeper into it. So who knows when they first wrote these, like, I don't know when they first wrote these books. I made friends on Book Talk. I have a Book Talk, I don't know if I said that, and we buddy read It Ends With Us. I knew this book was going to be very hard for me to read because it's about a toxic, very toxic relationship. Trigger warning, there's physical abuse in this book. Usually get triggered by this kind of stuff. So I buddy read this with a group of girls so that we can all talk to each other and like react to the book together, read it together. We are not alone. The only reason I didn't give it a 5 out of 5 stars is because I feel like there was a character who was glorified in certain areas, even though those things that made him lovable, and the author has even said like, oh, I fell in love with him at the beginning of the book, were huge red flags and very toxic things, even from the beginning of the book. I don't think she did that on purpose. I think she genuinely thought that was like romantic or whatever, and it was cute. It was not from the beginning. I didn't like that those red flags were a little bit romanticized, if that makes sense. I read the next 2 books in the Sarah J. Maas ACOTAR universe, which is A Court of Frost and Starlight, which is a novella, and it's unnecessary. Like, if you're gonna read this series, the only reason I recommend reading this is if you're obsessed with the characters and you just want more and you want like a wholesome content. It's just the characters having Christmas, basically. And it's not necessary to the plot line because they go over anything that happened in this book. They kind of go over it in this book. So it's not necessary, but it is cute. Look at all my tabs. A Court of Silver Flames. This book is in the perspective of Feyre's sister, Nesta. I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I think it was very good. I think it might be the best book in the ACOTAR universe, but I say that with a very light because whatever's coming next is gonna be messy. The ACOTAR books are so good. Get into it because you'll go down a giant rabbit hole. I ended up reading all of these, and then I ended up buying Throne of Glass because that's her only complete series, and I was like, okay, now I need to read that. And then I listened to Stardust on audiobooks through Libby. If you don't know, there is an app called Libby that you can connect your library card to, and you can check out ebooks straight to your Kindle, and you can check out audiobooks. So I checked out Stardust, which is one of my favorite movies. I wanted to read the book finally. I listened to that, and it was great. It was very different from the movie, and I really enjoyed that. So it wasn't boring at all. It was like a whole new take on a movie that I've been watching over and over again since I was a kid. So, and then the last 2 books I read were Zodiac Academy 2, Ruthless Fae. So the book that I told you was terribly written, I had to read the next one, and I think that book is what set it up for me that I need to finish this series. The ending to that book was so good. It made you realize like why those boys were bullies, why they were doing the things they're doing, and it took you more in depth into each character, and you kind of get like attached. I can tell you that Zodiac Academy is like Gossip Girl meets Harry Potter meets Pretty Little Liars. There's a lot of secrets to uncover, a lot of magic being used, but these kids are also filthy rich. You know how in Gossip Girl, like the students were more powerful than the teachers? It's like that. Like, they're more powerful than the teachers. The students run the school. So yeah, I read the second book, which sold it on me, 4 out of 5 stars. And then I read the prequel. There's a prequel novella for the first book, and it gives you a little bit more insight on a professor, Professor Orion, and Darius, one of the main bully boys, the heirs, and their relationship, because they do have like a weird relationship dynamic that you don't really understand until the second book, barely. And so I read the origin story novella to understand what the heck was going on, and it totally explained it for me. If you don't read the novellas of Zodiac Academy, I can imagine that you will be extremely lost because that explains so much. That is it. I hope that I kind of convinced you to read again. I hope my reviews were okay. I just didn't want to ruin ACOTAR for anyone. So I know that I flew through that without giving too much of an explanation about ACOTAR. It's just messy. It's Not in a bad way, in a great way. Like once you read one of them, you want to know about all of them, and then you get addicted, and then you're in the Sarah J Maas universe, and then now you're a book talker. Thank you guys for watching. If you stuck to the end of this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and stay beautiful. I love you. Peace.
She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her.